Okay, so family traditions, there's something, aren't they?
Hmm.
We all, I think, want to make them,
Yeah.
you know, more than just something we do, right?
Yeah,
We want them to mean something.
absolutely.
But how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
Like, where do you even begin?
Right.
We've been doing a little digging into that. We found five, I think, really solid ideas that can help.
Okay.
And the interesting thing, they're all about, like, keeping things surprisingly simple.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it turns out that some of the most powerful traditions, the ones that really stick,
Yeah.
are often the simplest ones, like way simpler than you might think.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Where do we start?
So first things first, you
Yeah.
got to start simple. But it's not just about, like, picking an easy activity.
Right.
It's about getting everyone in the family on board from the get-go.
Oh, that makes sense. Collaboration, right.
Exactly.
So how does that actually work? Like, what's the psychology behind it?
Well, I found that really interesting too.
Yeah.
What I read is that when something is simple, it just reduces that, like, friction.
Oh, totally.
It's easier to say yes to actually commit
Yeah.
when it doesn't feel like this massive thing,
It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant?
one bite at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's this thing called the Zeigarnik effect. It's a psychological thing where your brain, it latches on to unfinished or complicated stuff way more than things you've completed.
Oh, wow. So, like, the more complex the tradition, the more likely you are to, like, give up.
Sadly, yeah. It's like that to-do list that never gets any shorter. Just
Right.
makes you feel worse. Traditions can be the same way.
Okay, so starting simple is key. But you're saying that collaboration is like the secret sauce.
100%. Because when everyone feels involved in creating the tradition right from the beginning, that's when the magic really
Yeah.
happens.
Ugh. You know what we do? Every Saturday, it's pancake art morning.
Ah,
Yeah. It's a little messy, but it's so much fun.
I love that.
And you know what? I think it's become something we all look forward to, even if there's more flour on us than in the pancakes by the end.
That's amazing. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, that co-creation. It gives everyone this sense of ownership over the tradition. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't just something you have to do.
Right.
It's something you helped create, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah. So we've got the foundation. Keep it simple. Involve everyone.
Chicken check.
But how do we actually weave those traditions into our lives, day to day?
Yeah, good point.
Because life can get pretty hectic.
Oh, tell me about it. So how do we do it?
Well, there are three things that the research points to.
Okay.
First up, and this one might seem obvious, but it's so important, consistency is key.
It makes sense. Like, the more consistent you are, the more it becomes a habit, right?
Exactly. And did you know that consistency is actually linked to how our brains form habits?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's fascinating. The
Yeah.
more we repeat something, the stronger those neural pathways become. And then,
It becomes almost automatic.
yes,
Mm,
precisely,
that's really cool.
it is. Okay, next up is this idea of celebrating even the smallest moments.
Okay, I love that.
Because it doesn't always have to be some big, elaborate thing.
Right.
Like, even just those little everyday wins can be something to celebrate.
I completely agree. It's about finding those moments of joy in the everyday.
Yeah, like for us,
Yeah.
conquering the Sunday night dishes, that's a win.
Huh.
So we turn it into a mini dance party.
Love it.
5 minutes, music blasting, everyone's dancing while they're washing and drying.
You've just hit on something really important there. Turning something ordinary, maybe even a little bit dreaded, turning it into something fun. That is powerful.
Yeah. Because, no one actually enjoys doing the dishes, right?
Right. But when you reframe it, it becomes something you actually look forward to.
Exactly.
And psychologically speaking, that kind of positive reinforcement, it really strengthens those family bonds.
Okay, and the final thing to remember.
Yeah,
Families are not static.
that's true.
They grow, they change.
They evolve.
Yes, and so should their traditions.
Right, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Holding on to traditions that no longer fit just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It can actually feel kind of, I don't know, stifling almost.
For sure. It's like wearing shoes that are too small.
Perfect analogy. So how can families make sure their traditions evolve alongside them?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's about having open conversations, being willing to adapt, and sometimes even letting go of traditions to make space for new ones.
I like that, letting go to make space for something new.
Right, because families are all about growth. And as you grow, your traditions should reflect who you are now, not who you were 5, 10 years ago.
I love that.
It's like cultural traditions. Think about how they evolve over generations. The core values, they're often still there, But the way they're expressed, it changes with the times. Family traditions are the same way.
That's a really interesting way to think about it.
And it leads to a pretty thought-provoking question. What small moments in your family's life right now could become traditions? And how might those traditions change as your family grows?
Wow, that is something to think about. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive on family tradition,
Yes.
I think the big takeaway is that it's not about these elaborate rituals or, trying to be perfect.
Right.
It's about starting small, involving your family, being consistent, finding joy in those small moments,
Mm-hmm.
and being open to change.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Because when it comes down to it, the most meaningful traditions, they're the ones that tell a story, your family's story.
I love that. And that actually is the perfect note to end on. What kind of story do you want your family to tell? Let that question guide you as you build your own traditions.